Nobody supported my.
What's the cost per headache? What's the actual profit? Because at the end of the day, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality.
Built because 5 of them failed.
You shouldn't be comparing yourself with anyone. You should only be comparing yourself with your future self.
Pleasure will make slaves out of kings. Patience will make kings out of slaves. Show us your tax returns, you scammer. Sometimes you gotta get punched in the face. You gotta get hit.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Her Nomad Ventures. This is your host, Imirti Sahara. I'm here sitting with Jared Curry and Matt Shields. If you don't know who these two beautiful men are, let me tell you. Jared has built 2 7-figure SMMA agencies. For those who don't know SMMA, it stands for Social Media Marketing Agency. By the time he was 21, and he has been featured on Forbes, Entrepreneur, and TED. And Matt, when he was 17, he bought a $597 course on how to build a SMMA. 4 years later, he made over $4 million from his agency, traveled the world, and completely changed his life. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so excited you guys are here.
Let's go.
We're here in Puerto Rico, in my island. I just picked you guys up from a cruise.
Yep.
Just got some acai.
Yeah,
We're
some
ready.
acai. We're like so ready.
Took some personality tests.
Exactly. So, we typically start the show with 3 questions.
Okay.
Where are you guys from? Where was the last place you traveled to? Which is ironic because you're here traveling.
I know, right?
And what's your personality test?
Okay.
So, who wants to start?
So,
So, where were you from?
yeah, so I'm from North Carolina, United States. Last place I traveled to was Machu Picchu, Peru.
Oh,
Josh. I did a trek there, hiked it. It was really cool, fun time. Now we're here in Puerto Rico. My
Nice.
test results, if I'm not mistaken, were IN.
I have them here.
TFJ?
He did it from my phone.
I think it was INTFJ.
INFJ.
INFJT.
T? Okay. So I'm going to give a short description. Advocates. It stands for advocates. Maybe the rarest personality type of all, but the shocker. But they certainly
That's for
leave
sure.
their mark on the world. Yeah, that's
I'll take
about it. Yeah.
Sounds right.
What about you, Jared?
So, born and raised in Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy. Last place we actually traveled to was Amber Cove, Dominican Republic. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Because we're on a cruise.
You're moving fast.
I know, right? We're living the nomad lifestyle, like
Yeah.
what we set out to accomplish a few years ago. Now we're doing it. So,
Yeah.
and my personality type was, it was entrepreneur, but it was ESTPA.
Yeah. Cool. Love it. So so tell me a little bit about yourself, like background on how you guys started in this world, like what motivated you to become entrepreneurs when you started very young. So tell me let's go a couple of years back and where you guys were and all of that.
I think for me, it starts off when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. And I tell a lot of people, figure out how to chase that internal 5-year-old self that you once were. And I was raised in an environment where entrepreneurship was common. My dad owned businesses, and I remember, I don't remember the exact age, but I was like 6 or 7, right?
Yeah.
And I had this big sheet of paper that I took from my dad's office, and I started drawing. I built a conglomerate called Curry Enterprise.
A conglomerate.
And I started drawing all the different businesses I wanted. I wanted like a hotel, a cruise line, funeral homes, because my dad owns funeral homes.
Oh,
Weird, right?
yeah.
Right? I wanted all these restaurants. I wanted all these businesses
Yeah.
in the entire conglomerate.
Yeah.
And at that point, I knew the typical 9-to-5 route, what everyone else was doing, wasn't the path for me. I knew at a young age, it's like that knowingness. People have this knowingness,
Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of people have that, especially at a young age, but they lose it.
Yeah.
They lose it as they get older.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, wow, you thought so big. No, we all thought big at 5 years old. We all thought we were going to go to space, be an astronaut, become the president of the United States, whatever that may be for that person listening right now.
Yeah.
And I think I lost that at some point because of society, because of trying to conform to societal norms, right? As I got older and I personally began to go through the school system, the education system, and I felt lost, you know. I felt like,
Same.
yeah, right. I felt like there was something else missing. And one day I was watching my friends, Suyash and Puneet. So they're Indian American,
Yeah.
and in the Indian American household, it's very education focused, and it's also very high performance culture, I would say, right? You want to be a doctor, a lawyer, anything less than that, you're kind of a failure, right? You want to be on Wall Street. So for me, it was really inspiring to see because they thought big, because they were put in an environment where they had to level up because that's the only thing that
Otherwise, you're a loser. You're
exactly.
Like,
It was the minimum standard that their
Right.
family accepted. So they were watching these things called TED Talks. I was like, what the heck? What is this? And like they would go to these conferences, and I'll be honest, I felt a little left out because like I was seeing what they were doing, and like I don't think they wanted to bring me in because I don't think I was the person that they were already, you know, had become.
and these are
at
your
that point.
friends.
These were my friends, yeah. But eventually, I started to actually just start watching TED Talks. I watched Robert Kiyosaki's TED Talk about how the poor and middle class are getting poorer and the rich are just getting richer. Exactly. Watched that, changed my life. Bought his book. Actually, I had his book. My dad had his book. He had like a little pocket book.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 20 pages. I thought that was the whole book. I read it, and it wasn't. So I went ahead, bought the actual book, changed my life, and that's how I got into entrepreneurship.
Nice. Did you ever sell stuff at school by any chance?
Ooh. Well, I had a vending machine in high school.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the high school. I had it
Okay.
at like some solar warehouse called Momentum Solar.
Yeah.
You could definitely see Jared like slinging chocolate after class. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my
selling
God,
candy to people.
because you said about your dad being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
my dad also was an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
like saying like, as I don't know, I was maybe 8, I would make like bracelets,
Yeah.
sell it to my girlfriends,
Yeah.
like make like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like things.
I
and sell
sold
them.
one thing one time in school, but I can't really talk. I don't know if we can
We're
talk
not-
about it now,
only
so we
P,
won't go
only
there.
P.
Yeah, no, we won't go there. It wasn't anything bad, but
Okay.
I did have like a lead pencil company in fifth
A
grade.
lead pencil.
Yeah, and we weren't using actual dollars as currency. I was just trading nicer lead pencils, like cheap, lower end lead pencils for higher quality lead pencils, and it was like this whole company that I made in fifth grade. So that's the other
Cool.
thing. Yeah.
I love that. What about you, Matt?
So I dropped out after 9th grade of high school. After that, I went through a few years of pretty solid darkness. Just, you know, a few years of being lost, very hopeless, very confused as to why am I here? What am I supposed to do? What is this all for? And I was struggling a lot with a lot of different things. Then when I was 17, I found YouTube. I found YouTube videos. I found make money online videos. And I was like, what is this? Like, there's actually dudes making money, traveling the world, like in Bali, all this stuff. And I started looking into it. I was like, well, maybe there's hope for me. Like, maybe I can get out of this darkness I'm in. And eventually I found SMMA, which is social media marketing, and a guy named Billy Wilson. I remember watching one of his YouTube videos and being like, this seems like a normal dude.
Yeah.
He's saying he dropped out of college. He's saying he makes 6 figures online. He seems like a normal dude. Like, if he did it, why can't I do it too? And next video I click on, I get hit with a Billy Wilson ad. And I'm like, why is Billy Wilson running an ad to me? What's going on with this? And it's like, on the other side of this sheet of paper are the 3 things I did to build a 7 or 6-figure business. I'm like, all right, what's on the other side of the sheet of paper? And he's like, if you want to see it, click the button. So I click the button. I go to like some master class. I watch the whole thing, and I was sold. And he was selling me a course. He was like, here, I'll teach you how I built my 6-figure business if you just buy my course.
Right.
And I was convinced. I was like, dude, it's either this or like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's not going to be good for my life. Like, I gotta take a leap here. So I watched the course, or I watched the video. I say, I want to buy the course. I go to my mom. I say, Mom, I'm not going to college. I'm going to buy this course, this $597 course. It's going to change my life.
Have you ever worked previously?
No, never had a job. And I
Wow.
told my mom that. I sit her down. I'm like, Mom, I need to tell you, like, I'm not going to college. I thought she knew that because I dropped out of 9th grade. Like, it kind of seemed like college was not on the table.
Yeah.
But
That's not how it
for
works.
some reason, she was surprised, and she started crying. And she was, like, really, really sad. And because she knew how desperate I was. And I saw that look on her face. I've said this before. I'll say it again. When I saw that look on her face, I was like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm not going to see that look on my mom's face again. So she gave me $100 for the $600 course. My dad gave me $200. I put up the other $300. I bought the course and I got my ass to work. And it's five years later, almost exactly, since I bought that course, and we've done over, at this point, $7 million in SMMA, and that's the only course I've ever bought. So
shout out to Willie.
Shout out to Billy.
Which, by the way, I don't know if he knows, but he's the reason why we're all here, because I also got the course years ago. So shout out to Billy. Thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So, you never had a regular job before, you just went all in.
I worked one day. I loved playing basketball growing up, so I worked one day at a basketball gym where I did the score, like the little scoreboard. Yeah. And I hated it. And they gave me like $30, and I was like, I'm never working for anybody ever again. Mm-hmm. So it was always entrepreneurship for me. I started off selling shoes on eBay. I would buy and sell basketball shoes, and I just loved it. I loved the chase of like, oh, let's see if I can make some money today. Like, it just seemed so cool to me. So that's how I started. And then I tried a couple of businesses that failed really bad. So my first idea was a company called Shop For You.
Shop For You.
Here's the pitch, all right? It's a great idea. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Maybe it's still got potential. I was like 16 years old. I was like, all right, I'm going to be a tech entrepreneur. I'm going to make stupid amounts of money. And Shop For You was going to be a software that would go and scan the internet to find if somebody wanted to buy something like a phone or shoes or something online. They could, instead of shopping and trying to find the best deal, they could put it into this software. The software would scan based on their criteria, find the best deals, find the best price, find exactly what they're looking for, and immediately get them the best price, the best option. That was the idea. Problem is, I had no idea how to build something like that. So I just did it manually at first. I would DM people on Facebook like, yo, you want a phone? And they're like, yeah, I need a phone. I'm like, all right, I'll buy one for you. And I would go and like shop for them basically.
Yeah. It seems like a plugin, really.
Yeah, like a plugin. Yeah, like Honey or one of those little Chrome extensions.
Honey does something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the idea.
I think.
It had potential, but that's the thing is ideas are easy. Like, it's easy to come up with great ideas. It's hard to execute. It's hard to figure out how do you make an idea come to life. That's the true skill. I can think of 100 business ideas right now that, like, one of my favorite quotes is, "There's a million ways to make $1 million." It's all about picking one and executing on it. And that's the skill that I lacked at that time, was execution. Yeah. So,
did you guys ever felt scared or kind of like afraid of like what would happen? Did you ever have like that fear when you started out, or do you still feel afraid?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
How do you get past that?
By understanding that, for me, faith in God helps. Like, fear is the absence of faith. So if you can have faith, you can overcome your fear. That's been the biggest thing for me lately, but I didn't have God for the longest time. So back then it was just understanding, like, you're going to die. You're going to die. Who cares? Who cares if you fuck up this podcast? Sorry, can I cuss? Okay, my bad. Who cares if you screw up this podcast? Who cares if you mess up that sales call? Who cares if you screw that thing up, you piss that person off? Who cares? You're going to die. You're going to the same place as everybody else that you might piss off. It doesn't, like, assuming, there's no, like, physically you're going to the same place, right? Your body's going to the same place. Your spirit might go somewhere else. Yeah. But that's how I thought about it. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the more I just meditated on my death, the more I started thinking about, like, putting myself into that 80-year-old grandpa who's laying on his deathbed, looking back on his life. And my biggest fear is regret. Like, it's looking back on my life and saying, you could have done more. You could have changed the world. You could have done amazing things. But instead, you were a little word I'm not going to say.
Say it.
Can I?
Say it.
I don't. Did they say something about cussing, or does it not matter? You were a little bitch. You were a little bitch. And you sat around and you were too scared and you made it all about yourself. I saw something interesting the other day that said the most unhappy people and the people who struggle the most with anxiety and fear and different things and depression, they're the people who focus on themselves the most. And if you talk to them, if you interview them, they're going to say me, I, myself. They're going to say those words a lot more than the average person, because their whole life is about them, and them. And when that's the way you think, you start to get overcome by things like fear because you think it's all about you. When you realize you're not here for yourself, you're here for others. Your purpose in life is to serve other people. It's no longer about you. So your fear goes away because you're living for others. You're not living for your own self. So I think that's another thing that's helped me a lot as far as facing fear.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So you guys both have built multiple seven-figure businesses. How in the world did you guys do that at 21 and 22?
I think there's a big difference between inspiration and desperation. I think you need one of those two things in order to actually be able to execute, not just have the vision, because like Matt said, ideas are easy, the execution is the hard part. So I think in order to actually execute, in order to actually stick to what we commit to actually doing, because that's a challenge that so many people have. You know, they have this big goal, this big vision in mind, and they try it out for a week, they try it out for a month, but when it gets tough, they quit.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. Like Matt said, there's the wealthiest place on planet Earth is the graveyard.
The graveyard.
You know, the millions and billions of dollars worth of ideas, the new music, the movie ideas, business ideas, things that can genuinely change the world. That is just lost.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to capitalize on that. And then I think to some respect, you have to be a little crazy. Right? And I think it was Steve Jobs. I mean, I know they've used this in Apple commercials in the past, but, you know, the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world
Are the ones that they do.
the ones that usually do it. So I think you have to be a little crazy to think that you are the savior
We're
for
Delulu here, yeah. I think the three of us are kind of Delulu.
100%. You are the key. You're the key to being able to help so many other people. You're the person who's going to help other people be responsible for providing for their families, for putting a roof over their head, for helping other business owners be successful. And you have to kind of trick your mind that way into believing it. And I think it goes back to the inspiration versus desperation. For me, I knew that I was extremely scared of what was happening in the economy. I was reading a lot of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. So it was a lot of stuff about inflation and recessions and stuff like that. Yeah. And that motivated me. It was fearful. And I knew that there were people chosen by God or people that had a responsibility to go out there and actually, change the world.
Yeah.
And I felt as though I was called to do that. And I think when you're called to do something, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have no other option.
How do you surround yourselves when doing things like this or when starting to build businesses like this? Or again, let's go back to a couple years ago. Your friend group, your family. How did you overcome all of that?
It's a great question. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. One of the things I'm the most picky about is who I surround myself with, who I give my energy to. I'm so protective over it. When I started off, I surrounded myself with my old high school friends. I was just hanging out with them, Waxhaw, North Carolina, 1,000 people in the town. Yeah. And every time I told them what I wanted to do, they would laugh. They were all going to college. They were all had their futures planned out. I'm gonna be a cop. I'm playing golf. I'm gonna go be a salesman. Whatever. They just all had their plans, and they were all going to school. So when I told them I was gonna be a social media marketer, they all laughed. Their parents laughed. Just so people know, nobody supported my decision to not go to college and become an entrepreneur.
Not even your parents.
My parents, not a shot. My brother laughed. My friends laughed. My friends' parents silently judged me. Nobody supported it. But I hung around those people because they were all I had. And this is a big mistake I made. I would rather be around people who were bad for me than be alone. It's so dangerous. I would rather be around other people who were bad for me than just be by myself and figure things out. When I shifted from that friend group, we had a falling out. Some of the guys in the group had a falling out. And then my best friend, who's still my best friend, went to the military. That group basically split up. And I was like, damn, I have nobody now. Now I'm alone. And I remember praying. I wasn't even a believer really in God at the time, but I was praying God, can you lead me to a new group of people? I don't want to do this on my own. It's hard. Jared called me like a month later, or like a couple weeks later, and he's like, "Yo, I'm going to this event in Mexico."
You guys knew each other already?
We knew each other, but we had never met. And he's like, "Yo, I'm going to this event in Mexico, hosted by a guy named Joel Kaplan. You gotta go. It's gonna change your life." I never left the country. I go to that event. I get in the room with 100+ entrepreneurs doing 7 figures. And I was doing $0 a month at the time. These guys are doing 100K, 200K, 300K a month.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I was like, what is this world? And when I went in that room, I was super insecure. I was like, damn, like, I hope people don't come up and ask me questions because I don't even know what's going on here. Like, I don't belong in this room. I felt so out of place. But as the event went on and on and on, I started, that limiting belief started to transform into real belief of like, wait, all these people you're talking to are just normal dudes and girls. Like, they're just normal people.
Yeah.
They're not even really that smart. Like, one of the guys was talking about how he does DMT and Ket and, like, all these drugs. And he was making, like, $70K a month. And he was up till, like, 4 a.m. every night partying at the club. I was like, dude, if that guy's making $70K a month, there's no excuse for me not to be making at least $100K a month.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down at that event, I will make $100K a month before the year is over. Actually, Jared wrote something down that said, we will make $100K a month. And he signed it. And he put it in front of me and he said, sign this. And I was like, oh, shit.
No pressure.
I can't not sign it. Like, I was doing $0 a month. I was 19, right? The idea of making $100K a month was still crazy to me. But he put it in front of me, and I forced a commitment on myself. And I said, all right, I will make $100K a month before the year is over.
Yeah.
11 months later, I was doing $170K a month. And that event changed my life. But the biggest takeaway was get yourself in the right rooms with the right people. Go to a room where you feel stupid. Go to a room where you feel insecure. If you don't feel insecure, if you don't feel like I don't belong here, the room's not big enough.
You're not 2 weeks ago.
Hopefully.
In Miami.
Hopefully. That's great though. That's a great feeling. And Jared and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Like, we have not had that feeling in too long. We've been going to the rooms where we are at the top of the room. And it's not good because we ain't shit.
Yeah.
We're $300K a month. That's nothing. That's
Yeah.
so small. And I know that sounds crazy. I don't say that to diminish what we've done, but that is so minute compared to what we are capable of accomplishing. But we have to get in the rooms with the people who are doing $3 million a month. We have to feel stupid. We have to have that insecurity again. That's how we'll get past it. So that's what I look for now is people who are 10 levels ahead of where I am, people who make me feel dumb, but give me that belief the closer I get to them that, wait, I can do it too.
Yeah.
As far as friends and stuff, I just look for people with high character, high integrity. I don't really care if they have money or not. If they're good people, they're my people.
You can learn from everyone, really.
Yeah, 100%.
What about you? What do you think, Garrett?
Can you repeat the question?
So, my question was, who do you surround yourself now and back then when you started?
It's a great question. I think as soon as I started to isolate myself from the rest of the people in high school that wanted to go the college route,
Yeah.
I didn't have many people. I had...
You finished high school.
I finished high school, unfortunately. Yeah, it was a big waste of time. But I think for me, when I was scaling up, I had a lot of friends that were envious. I had a lot of people that, like Matt said, it's pretty similar, right? They didn't believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, my dad was very supportive of me. I think that's because he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And
he saw yourself. He saw himself in you, probably.
Yeah, I think so. And I think all in all, you have to be okay with being alone for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think during those periods of my life, I was pretty alone. And that's not normal for me because I am someone who...
Super extrovert, friends.
To some extent, I like to
Yeah.
be around a lot of people. And I think for probably the first 2 to 3 years, I went to school, I didn't hang out with anyone, and I just worked.
Really?
And that was it. And I think now I try to hang around people that I can help lift up. But I think Matt made a really good point. You know, you always want to go after the people that are 10 levels ahead of you. And I think that's kind of our next step.
Yeah.
You want people in each category. You want people above you that you can learn from, that inspire you. You want people at the same level that you compete with, that you're actually competitive with, that push you on a daily basis. You want people below you that you can mentor and lift up, because that's helping you build a leadership trait. That's helping you teach someone, right? So you're being inspired, you're competing, and you're inspiring at the same time. If you can have people in your life that fit all three of those categories, that's the perfect foundation for a group or a network, right? Somebody above you, somebody at the same level, somebody below you, and try to manage all those relationships somewhat simultaneously. That's what I found to be best.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I saw your video that you built 6 agencies.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? And you wanted to prove something. What do you wanted to prove?
With the video or with building 6 agencies?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, the non-sexy answer is I built 6 because 5 of them failed. The first 5, all like the first one, the video's out there if you want to watch the full story, but the first one scaled up. I never signed the partnership agreement, so my business partner basically owned the agency, and I was actually a freelancer, although I thought I was a partner. I got screwed. The second one scaled up. COVID happened. I lost it all. Third one, another bad partnership. Fourth one, scaled up. Couldn't figure out how to fulfill what we sold. Shut it down. Fifth one.
What were the niches?
So Cairo, gyms, B2B for agencies, white label agency where we did fulfillment for other agencies. So those were the first 5. And the 5th one was successful. The 5th one I ended up actually exiting, and that was cool. But the 6th one was Jared and I's agency, and that was a State AI. That was the first one that actually did $100K a month. So the reason I built 6 is because the first 5 failed. And if you watch that video, I think the reason that video did so well is because people know deep down in their guts, as much as there's this propaganda online that you can buy a course and you'll make 10K a month in 90 days, as much as that propaganda is pushed to us, I think people know deep down that's not actually how this works. That's not actually how this game works. Like, we know that that's not how business is actually going to go for us. So I think the reason that video did well is because it showed people, look, I did this for 3 years. I failed 5 times, but I kept fucking doing it. And look what happened on try number 6. Look what happened after 3 years. Finally struck gold. It's like what Jeff Bezos says. He says, he talks about business being like baseball, in the sense that you can strike out 1,000,000 times, right? You can strike out as many times as you want, but all it takes is one hit, and you can have infinite home runs. Right, like Amazon for him is an infinite home run, infinite return on investment, but you have to keep swinging. Yeah. Most people only swing the bat 1 time, 2 times. If you swing it 100 times,
doesn't work. Let me do something else.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why I did it. It wasn't like I wanted to prove myself by building 1. It would have been cooler to succeed on the first one, but no, I failed 5 times, so I did it a 6th time.
What do you think you would have done differently with the first 5? For them to succeed?
I would have started selling faster, so I would have learned sales. I wanted to partner with somebody because I was scared to sell, because I didn't think I was going to be good at it.
We got in a call years ago. I don't know if you remember.
Did we?
He wanted to sell me something. I don't remember what it was. Yeah.
No, I was trying to sell you a white label. I was trying to do your fulfillment.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, I know we spoke on the phone
about
before we met.
Yeah, you were like in Miami at the airport.
I was doing something, and I was like, listen. Like,
yeah, I was trying to close you.
Yeah.
We had a good call too, but you didn't buy. So
I was like,
it's never too late.
Do you still have that?
No. But I'll sell you on it anyway.
Okay.
I forget where I was going, but. Yeah, what I would have done differently is I would have learned the hard skills sales. I would have just gone out and done it rather than like let fear hold me back. I would have invested all my money into paid ads. So I would have scaled. I would have just focused on spending money on marketing. Like, how can I get out there? How can I get out there? And how good can I get at sales? That's all the startup is. It's, can you market your product and sell it? Once you have proof of concept, can you market your product and can you sell it? How good can you get at those 2 skills? So that's what I would have focused on. I probably would have partnered with the right person sooner too. That would have been helpful. Jared was a huge help in the 6th agency. So those would be the 2 things. Learn the hard skill that you're avoiding, invest all your money back into promoting the business. And that's probably it.
I feel like some of these guys that are just starting out, because you are right, there's a lot of propaganda, like, oh, how I made 100K in like 3 months or like whatever. It's just like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how long are these clients actually staying with you?
Yeah.
Because the retention is likely like a month, and then, you know.
What's the cost per headache?
Exactly.
What's the actual profit? Because at the end of the day, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. And I think a lot.
Bars. Say it again.
Let's write that one down, guys.
Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. And I think so many agency owners, business owners in general, they get these big egos. I mean, I'm guilty of it, right? We throw out these big revenue numbers that we're making, but what's the actual profit margin on all of that? What did it take to get to that big revenue number?
Yeah.
It took a lot of freaking investment, so it doesn't mean we profited a ton.
Payroll, ads, like all this overhead.
100%. And I think so many people, they kind of feel, they start to compare themselves with all these other business owners. But you shouldn't be comparing yourself with anyone. You should only be comparing yourself with your future self. And I think when we realize that all these businesses aren't as sexy as, the internet makes it sound out to be.
It's not sexy at all. It's just hard work.
Extremely hard.
Yeah.
I think that's when people can really focus and give all their time, attention into just learning the skill sets that they need and putting in the hard work, despite the fact that there's going to be failures, setbacks, and all these other issues. Because that stuff's going to happen. So they can't be blindsided. I think for anyone listening, you can't be blindsided by all the bottlenecks and stuff in your business, because we all have them, including Matt and I.
Yeah.
The problems don't go away.
They get bigger.
But you get better at handling them. And I think that's a great point Jared makes. The number one reason entrepreneurs fail is because their expectations differ from the reality of what they're getting into. Like Billy's course, for example, 800 people have been through that course. 800. Probably 90% of them thought they were going to get rich in the first year. Yeah. Probably 90%. And that's why so many of them, I saw so many talented people who were ahead of me when I joined that program quit. Like ahead of me, they were doing 5K a month. They had a few clients. I was at 0, right? And I saw them quit. I saw them get out. I'm like, why are you getting out? You're making money. You're beating me. And I'm going harder than you. Why are you getting out? It's because they wanted it faster and they weren't patient enough.
Gratification, yeah.
They weren't patient enough. And there's a quote I love. It says, pleasure will make slaves out of kings. Patience will make kings out of slaves. So if you can be patient, if you can just think longer, like 3x your time horizon. If you want it in a year, do it for 3 years. If you want it in 6 months, do it for a year and a half. If you can 3x your time horizon, you're going to increase your likelihood to be successful. It's the biggest reason people fail is because they want it quicker than reality actually will give them. So, I just wanted to add that on to what Jared was saying.
Also, I feel like there's people that, for example, have been in corporate world for 10 years and they join a program like this one. And then they're like successful a year later because they already have the skill set, like sales, like accounting, whatever it is. And they just do it. And there's someone in the program, I can't remember his name, but he was in chiropractic as well with Agency Lab. But anyway, he had a similar situation. But so Jared, we met, was it 2 or 3 years ago?
I feel like, about 3.5 years
ago.
It's been a while. It has been a while.
So, okay, do you want to share like how much were you making then versus now? And what has changed since last time we saw each other?
That first time we met in Miami, right? That's what you're talking about?
We met in Miami. Was it Moxie's or something like that?
It was at Moxie's with Gio.
Yeah.
So we met at Miami. I think at that point I was coming out of the e-com space. Our best month with e-com was like 100K.
I didn't know you did e-com.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Had an e-com agency. Our best month with that one was just a little over $100,000 a month.
Okay.
But that died. That agency.
It died? Why? What happened?
I think for me, I wasn't passionate whatsoever about e-com. It's not the agency the type of business I would want to go into, and you have to know your business, your business model, and where you're trying to get to. I know for me, I didn't want to be involved in the business. I didn't want to have to deal with a bunch of custom clients and have to do a bunch of custom work. And I wanted something that was a little bit more copy and paste for me and my lifestyle and my goals. And because of that, we weren't as good as we could have been.
And you still made 100K, which is
yeah, 100%.
you know?
And I think with that, it really came down to I was burnt out, and my time horizon was short, and I wanted to pursue the next shiny object. And I mean, I guess some could say it worked out for me, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot with that agency for sure.
Yeah. So where are you now?
What do you mean?
Where are you now
How
with
much money?
regards to
Gotcha.
What's in your bank account?
No, I mean you don't. You can't. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but like to have like a little bit of context of like 3 years.
Show us your tax returns, you scammer.
You don't have to share if you don't want to. We can skip.
Come on, Black Magic, do it.
I mean, it's all over your YouTube videos, anyways.
Maybe I'll make a video on the channel about the actual breakdown of our taxes. But right now, honestly, things have completely changed. Right, scaling to 100K, I was big into reinvesting. You know, I was at 100K a month, probably doing 15-20% margins, throwing everything back into the business, and that was probably a good margin month for us.
Yeah.
Right. I've had months where we were doing like 2-3%. Everything was just going back in.
Yeah.
And I think now, because we invested all those resources in the beginning, we're able to reap the benefits now. And, you know, I've been able to buy a few investment properties. I've completely changed my life.
Yeah. Nice. So you guys are 21 and 22 now, right?
Yeah.
Both 22. You're 22?
22?
Yeah.
Yay, happy birthday. So
It was 2 months ago.
2 months ago, happy birthday.
Jared's not one.
So I assume you guys have people older than you working for you.
We don't hire young people. I don't know if I should be saying that on the podcast.
Yeah, no, we don't hire young people.
We try to avoid hiring young people.
Okay,
We
tell
do
us about
sometimes.
that.
We do have some young people. Like we have some 25 and under, but for the most part, average age at our company is probably like 35. Yeah. Part of that is what Jared and I would say, like we could talk all podcasts about what we're bad at. Like we really actually could talk for hours and hours and hours about how bad we are at certain things. One of the things we're good at is vision and energy. And that's partially, some people say because of our age. I think it's because we know what we want to do. I think I'll have even more energy when I'm 50. But we don't need like young hype people to follow us. Like we have that. We need people to balance us out with maturity and experience.
Right.
And expertise.
Yeah.
So that's what we look for. And we're not looking for older people. It's not like you have to be a certain age to work here. I'm pretty sure that's against the law. But it's more so just like that's
In the
just who
interview, ask how old are you?
that's just who I'm a big believer that you attract who you are. I'm a really big believer in that. And so I think the team we have is a reflection of who we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's good and bad and ugly within our company. It's part of running a business. So I think our team's a reflection of that, and it just so happens to be that we have a lot of older people. Yeah. It's not something we specifically like set out to do. Like
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
So what were some challenges you had? Why you laugh?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, no, let's not talk about her. Is that what you're thinking of?
Oh, damn.
No.
Oh.
It's a her,
I was thinking
guys.
I was thinking of like the one time we hired a young person, and yeah, just went.
It
really
was.
bad.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
no.
So, tell me about some challenges you guys went through. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but like, tell me like
how much time do we have?
Yeah.
How much time we have, guys?
It's 38 minutes.
38 minutes. Okay, that's how much we have. But tell me about, okay, so one big challenge. I know the pandemic was a hit for everyone. But one, like, each of you, I want you to tell me, like, one big challenge that happened, and how did you overcome it?
Personal or business?
Business. But you can share personal, too, if you want. I mean, your personal also goes together with your business. I feel like if you're not doing well in your personal life, your business
Is a reflection of your personal life, 100%.
I think for me, and I can't speak for Matt, but I think we've struggled with that instant gratification. So about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, we made a decision that we wanted to sell our company.
Which one?
Estate AI.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever really shared this publicly.
Mm.
Right?
Kind of.
Okay. This is like the official announcement, I guess. And we did that because we got lost, I feel like. I think we got that grass is greener on the other side going on in our head. And like Matt said, we were thinking 2-3 years out. And I think you really need to start preparing 10, 15, 20 years out. You know, Charlie Munger unfortunately passed away yesterday. And
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Yeah. He's 99 years old. Wow. And for those of you out there that don't know who he is, he's Warren Buffett's business partner and co-founder of, they co-owned or vice chair of Berkshire Hathaway, right?
Yeah.
Big conglomerate of companies.
Yeah.
And what most people don't know is that Warren and Charlie had a third business partner. No one knows that. So what happened to that third business partner?
Yeah.
They all control part of Berkshire Hathaway. And one time, Warren, in an interview, was asked what happened. I forget the gentleman's name. It might have been like Jim. Rick. Yeah. So he asked, what happened to Rick? What happened to your third partner? Because they never talked about it. And Warren said, I always knew Charlie and I would be extremely wealthy. But Rick, unfortunately, was over-leveraged, and he was trying to get rich. He was trying to get rich quick. And Charlie and Warren wanted to get rich for sure. And they were playing the long game, whereas Rick was playing the short game. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we dealt with. Because of our age, because, you know, and Matt, you said this the other day. You were like, yeah, we're 22, but I don't want to think like a 22-year-old. I want to think like we're 50 already, and that we have to be in a rush to move stuff. And there's a lot of truth to that, and we should, because that allows us to scale extremely quickly. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to have that long-term vision, and I think that's been our biggest challenge. Because we're young and we have so much opportunities and we're super blessed.
And the energy's there, definitely.
100%. And super blessed to be able to say, we can go out and do anything and make a lot of money. Yeah. Super fortunate to be able to say that. And I think it's a double-edged sword because we can also kind of fall back on that and cause a lot of damage, a lot of pain for our team, for ourselves, for our future success, because we're always chasing that next thing. So that's been the biggest challenge for me personally.
So what has been your biggest challenge? Not the biggest, or something that happened recently, a big challenge you faced, and how did you overcome it?
So there's this concept in leadership called leadership capital. And I heard Jocko Willink, Jared was watching a masterclass, if you know masterclass. He was watching a Jocko Willink masterclass on leadership. Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL, badass dude, great leader. And in that masterclass, Jocko talks about leadership capital. And he says there's like a finite amount of leadership capital, right? And leaders sometimes have to use leadership capital, and then sometimes they have to earn leadership capital. So if I'm leading you and I'm like, Mertice, really need you to, hey, after hours, I need you really to knock out this thing. It's super important for a client. Need you to make this happen. I'm using leadership capital, right? But if you're struggling one day and you need me to be your rising tide and I go and I help you out, I'm now getting leadership capital. So a leader has to balance their using of leadership capital and their leveraging and gaining of leadership capital, right? They have to be giving and getting at all times. I think for the last year, I used so much leadership capital and I didn't gain any from my team. Because we tried to sell, we stepped away, we got out, we expected a lot out of the team because we thought we were going to be leaving. I messed up and I used a lot of my leadership capital with my team because I thought, you know, we were going to be exiting the business, so we needed them to become the new leaders of the business. Yeah. And now for me to step back in and say, wait, guys, we're not going anywhere. Let's keep moving. There's a lot of leadership capital that I have to regain and that I have to get. And I think the only way to actually solve that is by executing, being a great leader, being there for the team, going above and beyond, leading by example, doing the hard things for them, stepping up again, rebuilding the relationship, strengthening that culture again. I think that's the biggest challenge that I've faced in the last year, and it's been a great lesson. It's been a really great lesson on how to lead a team, how to manage a team. So yeah, leadership capital I think is the biggest thing for me lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you guys see yourself in 10 years? I mean, you've done so much in such a short age. It's just like, what's next?
For me personally, I want to serve the United States of America, and I want to do that in a political capacity. I want to lead, probably at some state level, governor, most likely,
Yeah.
where I come from, the state of New Jersey. And I want to promote capitalism, because I genuinely believe capitalism is the worst system out there, but it's better than all the other ones. And I think as a result, we have to go out there as entrepreneurs, as people that understand what capitalism can do
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
It gives people the freedom, the opportunity to chase their dreams. And it has completely changed my life, and it's changed so many Americans' lives. And I think we're in a time in our history where we're trying to divert from the path that got us to where we're at, and we're trying to chase after something that's not for us.
Yeah.
It's not what this country was built on. We're successful because of the things we did 100 years ago, because of the things we did 200 years ago, not the things that other countries are doing today.
Yeah.
And just because they're doing it doesn't mean we need to copy it. And I think socialism and communism is the root of all evil. And if you look at Karl Marx and the things that they've tried to do with the education system and how they talk about religion and education and controlling people,
Yeah.
I think it is pure evil. And I'd go as far to say it's probably satanic.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to be able to help upcoming entrepreneurs, upcoming future generations, whether if they're getting a job or not, I want them to be able to be successful and thrive in America.
Have
Because
choices, yeah.
100%. Because the American dream isn't dead, but the dreamers are dying, and that's dangerous. That's
You're getting too comfortable, I feel like.
100%.
It's so cozy.
Super cool. It's scary. It's very scary. And Matt says this quote all the time. I'll let him actually share it because I don't want to, mess it up. But I think in 10 years out, that's what I'd like to do. I think how we're going to get there now, 100% knock on wood. And for now, I think Matt and I are pretty set in stone. We haven't talked about this publicly either yet. And I won't go too much in detail. But the Berkshire Hathaway of agencies. And I think so many people play this agency game very, very small, and they call it an elementary game.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Elementary school is where I learned most of my best lessons in life.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I think if we just double down on what we know how to do and not get shiny object syndrome, and we keep doing the thing that just makes us more money, because that money is going to allow us to impact more people, do the things that we genuinely want to do, I think we won't have any regrets with that going forward in the future.
Yeah.
So,
What was the quote you were going to say? Because the one that came to my mind was, we've gotten too comfortable. Hard times create
Yes.
strong men create easy times create weak men create hard times, and the cycle repeats itself. And right now we have easy times. Very easy times, bro.
Extremely easy.
Look at this. Like, we have microphones and cameras and iPhones and nice lights and great makeup and hats and chains and like, we have all this stuff. It's like, bro, like, things are so fucking good. They're too good.
Yeah.
They're too good. And when things are too good, people they soak up how easy things are, and they stop thinking, they stop getting paranoid. There's a great book called Only the Paranoid Survive. And it's a book about the most successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And the author describes them as very paranoid people, always wondering, what do we need to fix? What do I need to do better? What could go wrong? They never get comfortable. And that sounds really painful to a lot of people. Like, man, I don't want to be stressed all the time. I don't want to be paranoid. But that's what it takes to be great in business. You got to be paranoid. And I think we, as a society, have gotten too comfortable, and we're not paranoid enough.
Yeah.
We're not paranoid enough.
So something I do is I travel to really rough places.
Yeah.
you know,
Character
and,
building.
Yeah.
keep myself in check. I mean, I live in Puerto Rico. For some, this is like, you know, maybe like a third world country in some areas.
It's pretty
You know, it's
nice.
part of the States, but
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
still, I would like to, you know, go to, you know, rougher places so I see what it's like and like
Yep.
see what people like go through. And something that I thought about a lot, you know, in my time in Egypt, I lived there for a while. I was having a conversation last Thanksgiving, actually, about a year ago, with a friend, and we were having mango juice in this coffee shop. And I saw these people, like very poor people. I was like, how? I remember seeing this like woman. She was very heavy. I was like, oh, and I was like very like Tony Robbins. Like, if this woman did what she needed to do, she exercised, all these things, like, her life could improve. Da, 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 da. And my friend was like, very wisely, he goes like, she's just focusing on surviving. She's not thinking about her diet. She's like eating whatever it's available, or like, you know, we're just assuming. We don't really know her story, but you know, people like that, how, you know, we have to be really grateful because we live in, you know, born in the States, we have like all this opportunity.
Yeah.
So how your life would have been if you like lived in another country that's not in the States? Like, it would have been so much different. Like, but I think it, like you said, character building, I feel like you would even become smarter, because you would have to go through more challenges in life to get where you are now.
I think
I agree.
I think it depends. I think a big part of it is environment. And I think one of the
True.
biggest reasons as to why, I can't speak for Matt or you, but
Yeah.
why I was successful is, or, you know, relative success is because of my environment and because of the people I surrounded myself around. And I'm not sure if I was born even in an inner city, let's just pretend, even if I'm in the United States, but in the inner city, and I was surrounded by that environment, I'm not sure if I would be the person I am today.
Probably not. But there,
If you didn't have the education,
Yeah.
your dad.
If I didn't have my dad, exactly.
That's true.
there's
But I'm
something.
super blessed.
Yeah.
I'm super blessed to be able to say that I am a United States citizen and I was
Yeah.
born here.
100%.
There's something to be said for what you're saying though as well, as
Yeah.
far as facing a challenging environment. I think the best experience you can have environmentally is a dichotomy of success, luxury, and just like experiencing very, very intense amounts of wealth and successful people and like realizing that's real, but then also experiencing the bottom and getting humbled. Like sometimes you gotta get punched in the fucking face. You gotta get hit. Like if you, that's why all these like billionaires' sons are like jackasses, bro.
Yeah,
They've never
oh
got
my
punched
God.
in the face, bro. They've never got punched in the face. And I think there's a balance there of like getting the belief, living a great life and having the belief because you're surrounded by people who are successful and intelligent and can show you what's possible, but then also humbling yourself
Right.
and experiencing how dark life can get, how low things can get. I'm a big believer that adversity is what turns an adolescent into an adult, not age. So like
Adversity.
I know 30-year-old children, bro, and I know 16-year-old adults.
Yeah.
Because adversity is what ages somebody, right? It's what makes somebody become an adult. So I think there's something really powerful to be said for the more shit you eat, the better life will taste for you later on because you had to go through it. And that was very much my environment.
Yeah.
With that being said, I had a lot of what Jared had with successful parents. My mom was a realtor. My dad was corporate America. So I had that, but I had a lot of struggles on my own as well.
Right.
That balance for me was perfect because I have so much appreciation for life, but I also know what's possible. So I'm never comfortable. I'm never satisfied, but I'm always grateful.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the perfect balance.
Wow. Anything else to add to that?
I had something, but I forgot.
Guys, this has been great.
I've had a
I'm so
blast.
happy you guys made it to Puerto Rico. Don't leave me hanging. So at the end of each episode, we ask a question from our last person that we interviewed.
I do the same thing on my podcast.
I didn't know
And
that.
you stole it from
I
Diary of
didn't
a
know.
CEO,
I didn't
didn't you? Did you steal it from
I
Diary of a
swear,
CEO?
Yes.
Yeah, same. Same.
It's inspiration. It's not copy.
Actually, I think he stole it from us, low-key.
Okay. What?
He watched your episode and he said, "Dude, I need to do that for my
Yeah,
podcast."
exactly. So our question from Natalie Barbu, which was, she's a startup founder, very successful girl. She asked, "What is the biggest or best resource that you used or had that has helped you in your career? It could be books, podcasts, people, etc., etc."
Best resource?
Best resource, yeah, that you used or that you had. I feel like you both mentioned your parents and your upbringing a lot.
That was good, but I'll tell you the actual best resource. Love you, Mom and Dad, but hey. My dad's been the best resource for like management, leadership, hiring people. Like HR was his background, so he was my best resource for that for sure.
Yeah.
But my best resource by far after I dropped out in 9th grade, I was like, well, how am I going to learn things? It was YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I went to YouTube University, bro.
Yeah.
I graduated from that
As
damn
we
school.
all, yeah.
And I used to scour YouTube and just like try to find the hidden gem videos. And I swear there is so much, like, bro, like if you sit me next to some college business major and let us talk about business, and I guarantee I'll be able to articulate business much better than him, even if I hadn't built one, just because I watched the YouTube videos, bro. I scoured the internet. I found the actual content that's really valuable. I didn't soak up the damn pointless textbooks and go to the lectures and blah. I just went and I found successful people on YouTube. There's so many amazing interviews with Fortune 500 CEOs, Fortune 100 CEOs, billionaires. There's so much content, and if you just listen, like if you just actually listen and soak in the information, it's all there. Like there's an abundance of information, and that was the best resource for me is those little YouTube videos. I have like 700 views, but they're gold.
Yeah.
They're just gold. I would spend like 2 hours a day just finding all those videos and watching them every single day since I was like 15.
Yeah.
And I think that was my best resource, is really leveraging the power that the YouTube algorithm has.
Yeah.
For me, that was the best worldly resource. And then non-worldly, I'd say the best resource is God. Like if you can actually start to understand God's word, if you can start to connect with God, if you can start to build a relationship with God, that to me has been the most transformative resource I have. Like that, like the Bible says, man gets made anew in God. You become a new man when you abide in God and he abides in you. And that's a constant process. It's a constant struggle. But I think that's been the most, actually the most powerful resource, if you would call it that, would be understanding God's word. And we talked about evil and Satanism. I saw a quote the other day that said, Satan's greatest weapon is man's ignorance of God's word.
Wow.
If you don't understand what God actually said, which is his direction and instruction for you, he's saying this is the right way. Not what the preacher says, not what your Instagram role model says, not what Hermosi said on a podcast. Like, this is what I actually want from you. Yeah. This is the instruction. This is the path. If you can understand that, read that, and ingrain those words in your brain, you can defeat evil and you can transform who you are. But if you never take the time to understand that, you're always going to be wondering, what's the right way to do this? What's the right way to do that? What am I here for? What's my purpose? It's like the book tells you. The book tells you, bro. God wrote a book. And the creator of the universe wrote a book, and he said, read it, and all the answers are there. Yeah. And I used to think the Bible was like hokey pokey. Humans wrote it. It's BS. Yeah. And I just decided to read it and changed my life.
And it all makes sense.
So that's actually the greatest resource is the Bible. Forget YouTube. Take my answer back. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I can't beat that answer.
Well, the podcast has ended. Goodbye.
I would completely agree. I mean, obviously, the Bible is, for me, Matt has had a different religious path than I have. And I think for me, religion was always there. I think Matt is very strong in that side of his life, if you'd say that, right? And for me, I think, that was always important, and I always grew up in church and in church environment, and I think that helped with belief, and I think that's critical. And I think for me, the second biggest resource, because I can't beat that is the main resource. Yeah. But I think it comes down to modeling. And I think a lot of business owners, they like to reinvent the wheel. and I'm a visual person. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are.
Yeah.
And I think YouTube is a great way to do it. Courses is a great way to do it. Having a mentor, whatever that may be. But you want to model something, especially in the beginning. Most businesses fail, and that's because most people are doing the wrong things and they're not modeling success.
Yeah.
The best indicator of future success is past success.
Yeah.
You don't have a past to back anything up with.
Right.
So you have to go out there and look at other people's past.
Yeah.
So for me, when I wanted to build a multi-seven-figure agency, I looked at other people's agencies first, and I looked at how everything was structured. I would just study them, and it's so much easier to build
Make it
off
your
that.
way, in a way,
100%.
Good artists copy, great artists steal. Yeah.
So what question would you ask for our next guest? You can each one do one.
Why do you think you're here?
What do you think you're here?
Are the things that you're doing now, will you be disappointed or proud that you did them 10 years from now?
Wow. Very intense questions for the next one. I love it, though.
Good luck.
You gave us a hard one.
Here's my question. What are your tax returns showing? Show us your tax returns, you scammer.
He's joking, by the way.
I'm not joking at all.
Kidding. Well, it's been great having you guys here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
the
us.
podcast.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been super fun.
Great.
So where can people find you?
Just a normal human being. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or YouTube. It's just Jared Curry. And
Jerry Curry.
Matt Shields.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for listening. See you on the next one. Bye.
Peace.
I'll see you guys in the next one, and make sure you guys select one of these videos that the YouTube algorithm just hand selected for you. See you guys.